everybody, today it is June 14th and I am going to take a dive into my big hive. So the last time I went in there was probably close to 2 weeks ago, and I heard some piping queens, which means they're virgins and they're letting other queens know that they're present. And so I haven't touched the big hive. I didn't want to disturb them. I wanted to let the virgin queens get mated and get settled. And today I am looking for eggs and looking for the queen. If I don't see the queen and I see eggs, that's all I want to see, because I want to know that there is a laying queen there and that this hive is queen right. So the last time I left that was queenless, but there are virgin queens present. So that's what I'm going to do at the big hive. At my other two hives, I have this one, which I split, which was an unsuccessful split, and I had to requeen with a Reba Grant queen, and she's doing great. So I'll peek in there as well and give you an update about that one. Now this one I'm really excited to share with you guys. This is my makeshift nuke. Nuke is short for nucleus colony. Basically it is a mini hive, and as you saw there is a bee with pollen bags that just arrived. Now this I put in some queen cells and a very small population of bees, just a couple frames, and I wanted to have this going as insurance. Because if that hive was unsuccessful in creating a queen, I could use this one. Now, I just checked this yesterday very quickly, and indeed they have a mated queen and she's laying, so super happy about that. So I went into that little nuke yesterday and I found eggs and I've spotted the queen, and I am so happy because this whole virgin queen business actually worked out for me. First time. So yes, this is my second year of beekeeping, and although my hive swarmed I think probably twice, I have learned so much. It has been actually a great experience. I've got to make myself a little nuke, which is great. I got another hive out of it as well with a Grant queen, which I'm super excited. Actually, it's not officially a Grant queen. These queens, the queen that I have in there was part of the Rhode Island Beekeepers Association grant. So let me go back again. So my second split has a former Rhode Island Beekeepers Association grant queen. We had a grant going and we bought some queens from Minnesota. They're Minnesota hygienic queens, and they got lost in shipping, and so rather than arriving overnight, they took a few days, and so they decided not to have those queens for the grant project. So they had a bunch of extra queens, so I picked one up from my mentor Li Ying, and she's doing great. She's producing. She's got a beautiful blue mark on her back. She's beautiful, and yeah, she's doing well. So I call her my Reba, which is Rhode Island Beekeepers Association Grant queen, even though she's not really part of the grant, because that's just my reference. Alright, anyways, enough talking, let's dive in. Top super is pretty light. Get into the honey and laying. Okay, so here's the queen excluder. Add a little bit of smoke there. Now this is to keep the queen from going into the supers, which is where the honey and nectar goes. I see some drawn frames. So whenever we're in the hive, it's always nice to clean up a little bit. Do a little house cleaning. So I see some drawn comb, which is always a good sign. More nectar, lots of nectar. So this has become a super right here. This is a honey super. So make sure, I'm gonna stagger these honey frames with the, sorry bee, the bee gets squashed. Okay, with some empty frames. So the girls have room to travel up and down. Do not want them to be honey bound. That they're drawing out. Okay, so this one is full of honey. Smooth her back on. Next box. Pull these frames slowly. Okay, this is all filled with nectar and honey. I wouldn't imagine finding the queen in this frame. All nectar, bag filled. Alright, we're gonna have to open up this a bit, make sure they have enough room. Leaves around. Sorry bees. Alright, this is all filled too. So I was in here and I gave them all these spun frames, and now these are all backfilled. Not good. This is encouraging. This looks like a new frame that has been drawn, which is great, but they filled it with nectar. So that's drawn out comb, it's all nectar. So they're busy, that's a good sign, but it looks like they're getting honey bound again. So I'm gonna have to give them more space. Queen. Hope there's a queen in here. See, it's all nectar, nectar, nectar. Gosh, what a flow here. So I'm gonna shake all the bees off of this and move this up to the super upstairs. I want to make sure there's no queen on there. Make sure the queen's not on there. So far, no sign of the queen. Going down the second box. I see eggs. On this frame here, I see eggs. So excited. So, I have a mated queen. I have a mated queen. I have a mated queen. I'm going to look on one more frame and see how much room they've got. Now I'm just trying to see if I see my queen anywhere. I have seen eggs, which is great. Just see if I can spot the queen. And I also want to see how much room these girls have, so I can make sure she doesn't get crowded out. They're collecting nectar so quickly, I might have to spin out a couple more frames. Yeah, I'm gonna have to extract that out of there. So I extract that one. Okay, so this is already getting honey bound, even though I extracted some frames just a couple weeks ago. It's already getting crowded. So she's not going to have room to lay. So I'm going to extract these frames, and that's that. Okay, so now we're at the bottom, and I just want to check to see how much room they have down here. And again, if I can see the queen. I did spot some eggs already, singly laid eggs, so I know that I don't have a working layer, a laying worker, I should say. And means I have a queen in here somewhere. I gave the bees 8 frames last time, so she would have room to lay. So I'm hoping instead of nectar, that there are actually eggs in here somewhere. Okay, that's a pollen frame, all pollen. Some more pollen. Looks like all the brood that was in here last time is hatched, so they have no new brood lining up. I would like to see some larvae. I did see some eggs, but larvae would be nice. Pollen, this is one of the frames that I spun out last time. This would be a good brood frame. Not spotting any eggs in there. Let's see if we can find another. Lots of nectar again. They've been busy filling it with nectar. So the problem is when these get filled up with nectar, the queen has no place to lay. Alright, so we'll try to spin this one out too. So haven't spotted my queen and only just a little patch of eggs. So glad I got in here because she might have wanted to leave. There's no room to lay. Alright, so I'm going to grab this frame and this frame. So all the brood has been hatched. So this hive is now broodless. So spin these out. Give her some room to work. Okay. Alright, let's button this up. Sorry girls, sorry to bug you. So, we're going to button this back up. Alright, bees. Alright, anyways, I was in the garage and I extracted 6 frames of uncapped nectar. I'm going to replace those back into the 2 bottom boxes there. So the queen, who I did see a little sign of, I saw some laid eggs, so she does have enough room to lay. I'm going to pop those back in there and then button everything up, and then I'll check things in a couple days to see if she's laying, and hopefully she is. So, I'm going to slip these back in here. Give Her Majesty some room to lay. So I'm putting 3 up the top here in the second brood box, and I'm going to put 3 empty frames in the bottom box as well. Now, 3 more back in the bottom brood box. Alright, so just got done working on the big hive, and it's always more work than I expect. So I ended up spitting out 6 frames of uncapped nectar. The frames that I put in and spun out last time, the bees were already starting to backfill with more nectar. This has been a very, very productive nectar flow year this spring. So I want to make sure what I believe is a mated queen, make sure she has enough room to lay, because I did see some eggs. They were singly laying, so that means it's not a laying worker. I didn't see the queen. I didn't look through all the frames, but once you see eggs, then that's always a good sign. I didn't see any brood, so she must have just started laying. So yeah, and all the old brood that was capped has all been uncapped, so the old queen's babies are now all gone. So hopefully I have a mated queen. I'm going to poke in there in a couple more days to see if she's laying in any of the frames that I just spun out. And if it's queenless, then I can combine it with that one. This little runt here is my little makeshift nuke. So what I did was I took a medium hive body, I put some styrofoam at the bottom here, narrowed it up, put some mesh down below for some ventilation. I drilled a hole for an entrance. I used a piece of styrofoam as an inner cover, because I didn't have enough equipment for a full hive. But this has worked. As you see, there's a bee there and another bee coming in. Before, there was 0 traffic, absolutely 0 traffic in there. There was no traffic coming out of there whatsoever. But I kept poking in there. It's a very small hive, and I saw some really great things. I knew there were 2 virgin queens in there, and then one day I came out and 1 virgin queen was dead on the landing board, and I poked my head inside the hive, and there was 1 queen in there. So I kept peeking in there. The hive is much smaller to look into than, of course, the big one, which is a really cool thing about nukes or nucleus colonies, which are basically mini hives. And I kept looking, and then yesterday I spotted eggs. I started seeing traffic, which is good. That means the forager bees or the other bees have some direction. They have a new leader, and yeah, let's poke in there again, and let me show you what I did inside. So I just have a brick here. I used a piece of a tote here just to give this a little bit of rainproofing, a little bit of shielding from rain. I'm going to get this into a real hive soon, but until then, this has worked. This is just a piece of rigid styrofoam. And here, it's a very, very small hive. So what I've done is I used 2 pieces of that pink stuff is rigid foam insulation to narrow, and that goes all the way down to the bottom, and that narrows the size of this hive body. So it essentially is a nuke, which is a mini hive. Usually they're 5 frames, but I've reduced mine to 4. I'll probably give her another frame. But in here, let me put this on a tripod so you can see. So in here, here's a frame of honey. I'll pull these back a little bit. There's a frame of honey that I gave them. Where's my, I don't have my hive tool. I'm going to try to be very gentle. And in here is pollen. And look for signs of eggs. Yep, and I see singly laying eggs right here. They're very difficult to see. And where's the queen? She might have gone to the other side. This side has some nectar, so no queen, no eggs on that side. Eggs mean that these were laying just within the last 3 days. Don't see the queen immediately. She tends to be very fast. There she is. Do you see her? She's right there. Where is she? Where'd she go? There she is. There she is. See her? She's got a very long abdomen and a dark thorax, and she always moves around. She also has golden legs. So that's another good way to find her. So there she is. She's moving around, and there are eggs in here. Trying to see if any of them have hatched yet. Yes, a few of them. If you look down here, there's some royal jelly. Not royal jelly. If you look in the bottom of the cells, here's some jelly in there, and that is recently hatched brood. So she has been laying now for 3 days. Great, because those have hatched. Right, I'm going to put her back. Stop bothering her. Okay. This is the Grant Queen hive. This one's been doing very well. I added another box, and I'm feeding these girls. This is what that is. This is a sugar syrup feeder. And she adds some more syrup to it. And I'm going to see if she's starting to lay in this box. So they did start drawing comb up here, which is great. These 3 frames are starting to get drawn. They were just foundation. Oh, and I do see brood. So she's been up here and she's starting to lay. That is great. I don't see her. She has a bright blue dot. She's very easy to see. And this one is getting filled with pollen and syrup. So they're just using that as nectar. Okay, so let that get drawn out some more, and then I'll start checkerboarding it as needed. Alright, so put these all back together. Let's check the bottom box. How about this is getting? Looks like 8 out of 10 frames. These 2 are still empty. It's getting drawn out a little bit, which is good. Oops, sorry girls. Just want to check and see what brood patterns are looking like. How she's laying. So with every hive check, we're always looking for signs of the queen and of her vigorousness. That's a very good brood pattern. Nice and solid. That's all my new queen. And it's all capped. Great. I would say the population in this hive has tripled in the last 3 weeks. It's a very small amount of bees in here. Ouch! Just got stung on my fingers. Did not feel good. Get the stinger out immediately if you can. I'm not using smoke because this hive is small, but maybe I should have. That one. So I just wanted to see if I could spot her. Sometimes you can see her when you're not looking. Let's see her on that frame. That one. There she is. See that big blue dot? There she is, right there. She's beautiful and very easy to see. Right in the middle of the frame there. There she is. Bright blue. And she's a good layer. Look at that brood pattern. Beautiful. And every one of these holes has cells has a egg in it. Alright, my queen, we'll put you back. The end of the brood. There's honey and syrup stored in that one. So what I'm going to do is switch this one out here. This empty frame back in here. Okay, button this one back up. Alrighty, so that wraps up June 14th, and 2 little hives are looking great, getting going, and the big hive is sort of up in the air. I did see signs of a queen, which is great because I haven't seen signs of a queen in a while. I got stung in the forehead, which is fine. I need to get a new veil. A bee got into my veil and got me right in the forehead. But better the forehead and not like my eyeballs or something. So, alright, there you have it. Happy beekeeping.